Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my second video, but it's going to be the first video of a top 10 series that I'm going to be doing. It's revolving around, I guess, my favorite top 10 things in particular of certain topics. And I feel like a majority of them are going to be about movies, which is no shame, because movies are that good, they deserve to be talked about. So today, to kick things off, I thought we'd do a little bit of a throwback. So we're going to be looking at top 10 movies of my childhood. So before we really jump into the list, I want to give honorable mentions to movies that are just too iconic to be on this list. And they are movies that I've rewatched about 10 plus times, and I just want you to know that I have watched them and I do think they are amazing films. So The Lion King, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Monsters Inc., Toy Story, Shrek, The Parent Trap, Scooby-Doo. There's literally 8 movies that would 100% be on this list, but I had to just cull Disney princess movies because they were a big part of my childhood. And I guess ones like The Lion King and Shrek that are they're so iconic that it would just be unfair to all the other movies on my list if they were on there. So do know that I did watch these movies. I didn't live under a cave as a kid. I did watch them, I assure you, I have. But these movies that are on this list, they're very unique to me and important to me for different reasons and things like that. So let's jump into it. So number 10 is a little movie I like to call Balto. Don't look at Balto Wolf Quest. I have only seen that movie once and I don't actually remember what happened. But Balto is the much better film. So a lot of these movies I think I watched at my friend's house, and she has a copy of a lot of these movies that I don't. Becky, shout out to you. You will know a lot of these movies. Balto was it's just a really, really unique movie. It's loosely based on a true story of a dog that got this medication for these kids. Sled dog, probably should mention that, which was another cool part of the movie. It's a really great movie. I think it's really hard as a kid and even as an adult to not like a movie that's based around a dog or an animal. And this one was just perfect for me when I was growing up. And Phil Collins is the voice of a polar bear. Amazing. And who doesn't love a love story between two dogs? I'm making this movie sound like a joke, but it's really, really good, and I can assure you, the storyline is beautiful. It's a beautiful ending, it's a beautiful beginning, it's a beautiful middle. All in that order. Just kidding. Moving on. Okay, number 9 is a movie I like to call The Emperor's New Groove. Is the poster up there? Is it there? So The Emperor's New Groove, it was a movie I watched quite a bit with my siblings, and I think the joke of Kronk and his spinach puffs was ongoing. It's still ongoing. It's still a line that comes up every now and then. But it's such a funny movie and it's really great. And they eventually made a second movie. They made a second movie focusing on Kronk, which was, it's average. Sequels are hardly ever as good as the original. Don't think that's an unpopular opinion. And then they made a Disney Channel show, which was not the best show on Disney Channel, but it was not the worst, and I watched it because I loved this movie. Can't deny that. And really, looking at it now, it's such a beautiful movie of self-discovery. P.S. Advanced English ruins everything. Number 7. Jokes number 8. Oh my god, I'm losing my mind. Number 8. Okay. This, to me, is one of the most underrated animated movies all time. It is such a good movie. And that movie is The Iron Giant. I mean, I don't have anything negative to really say about this movie. It's so good. So basically, it's this big, giant iron robot comes from outer space and basically befriends a kid. And it's just I can't give too much away, because if you haven't seen it, and most people I talk to have not seen it, what are you doing with your lives? The only flaw is probably that the main kid's name is Hogarth. Let that sink in. Apart from that, it's a really, really good movie, and again, another one I watched with my siblings a lot as a kid, and it's on Netflix. Hopefully it's still on Netflix. Haven't checked again, but watched it really recently, and it still is good. Still is good. It's really beautiful. Number 7, this time it is number 7, it's just a classic. Good old Lilo and Stitch. So Lilo and Stitch, I'm fairly sure it is one of those iconic movies. It was so, so good. It's such a beautiful movie. Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. Such an iconic quote, and I'm fairly sure Ohana is tattooed basically somewhere on a lot of people. It's great. But for me, it was probably more the soundtrack that really is why this movie is on this list. I fell in love with the entire soundtrack, would listen to it all the time. Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride, banger for sure, and it's just such a good movie. It's a really beautiful, beautiful movie. It's got that mix of, earth and space and all the imagination and things in between, and it's just really, really beautiful, and it's hard not to like. Kids movies are hard not to like. That's an honest opinion. But yeah, I'm probably going to listen to the soundtrack after this video to just remember how good it was. Number 6. I'm really looking at this and thinking, why do I have this at number 6? That's what I'm like with a lot of this list. So that's why it's not really set in stone. But anyway, The Incredibles. I have nothing bad to say about this film. I'm saying that for a lot of things. I remember seeing this film, I was in Disney World, and we had the front row to the cinema, and we were sitting like this, with like our necks dying. I remember it just being the most magical thing I ever saw in my life. It's such an incredible movie, and the sequel was good. I was really worried the sequel was going to be like iffy, but I really liked it. I've definitely watched that movie close to 100 times. It's so good. It's so funny. Like, the characters, like, these people know what they're doing. They're knowing what characters to make you just fall in love with it. Like, just the minor characters of like Frozone and Edna. They're the best. Edna's the best. And that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, was Edna Mode. It's probably my favourite superhero movie. Sorry Marvel, but sorry Avengers. That is the OG. That is one of the best. Number 5 is A Bug's Life. I just admire this movie so much because it's so good. And this was probably one of the big ones I watched with my siblings, with my brother and sister. The character of Heimlich, the caterpillar, that was quoted a lot. Such a funny movie. Really, really good. A lot of these movies just know how to nail comedy, really, for kids. But it's such a good movie, and if you have not seen it, please go see it, because I can guarantee you it's going to be a good time and you're not going to hate me for it at all. Number 4. Okay, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of side eye for having this as number 4, but it is the Lizzie McGuire movie. Okay, so this movie, every girl my age is obsessed with it, and What Dreams Are Made Of is the best song to come out of a Disney movie. Hands down. That's not a princess movie, of course. I'm being dramatic, but it's such a great song. Lizzie McGuire will always go down as one of the best shows on Disney Channel, and this movie was just such a perfect way to really send that character off and be like, see you later. This is what dreams are made of. Good work, Hilary Duff. You did Disney Channel proud. And this movie is certified brilliant, and sometimes I still see it come up on the movie channel on Foxtel, and I just like laugh to myself because I'm just like, what a bizarrely great movie. Like, it's bizarre, but it's fantastic. It just made me think like, oh wow, all excursions in high school. I'm going to be going to Italy and I can't wait. And I'm going to be mistaken for a international pop star. That is what dreams are made of. It's a really great movie and I loved it as a kid and I still love it. You just can't not love it when Disney Channel's your life, basically, growing up. But we're into the top 3. Top 3. So I was debating whether to put this movie into the list at all. But when I was Googling some stuff, I was like, this has to be in there. It can't not be in there. And that is The Princess Diaries. I forgot this movie came out as early as it did. It came out in 2001, which really shocked me. But the main thing is, I actually saw the second movie in cinemas, and that came out in like 2004, 2005, when I was like 6 or 7. So Princess Diaries was definitely a big part of my childhood, and I mean, that was probably the dream. Sorry, Lizzie, but this was the dream, to find out that you're royalty without actually knowing it, and yeah, becoming a princess of the country, and it was beautiful. So the first one and the second movie, they're probably to go together because I've definitely seen those movies millions of times, and it's really, Princess Diaries is probably the first rom-com that I saw. Truly beautiful. And Anne Hathaway's just the best. How can you not like her in this movie? And that makeover scene, that just seals the deal that you want to be Mia Thermopolis. Like, that seals it. It's the best scene. Best scene ever in any rom-com. That's a big statement, but if you don't like that makeover scene, you're kidding yourself and you're lying to yourself. Alrighty, number 2. So number 2 for me, it's probably my favorite non-Disney princess movie, and probably just my favorite non-Disney movie ever, and that is Anastasia. For me, the movie is so good. It's so good. I actually have the soundtrack on my iPod with no shame. There are some really good songs in this movie. If I was ever become an actress, ever, which will never happen, I would want to play the live action remake of Anastasia and play Anya. That's the dream role. That is the dream role. But actually, I think 2 really funny memories of this. I'm fairly sure Becky had this on VHS, or I had it on VHS, but we would watch it at her house, and then when we were finished, we'd get the Maya scene and Bratz dolls and we'd reenact it and sing the songs, and I'm fairly sure it's on a home video somewhere. And I really don't want a copy of it because it's really, I just know how embarrassing that is. But it was really, really funny. And number 2, when I discovered that this was actually based on true people, like the Romanovs, the Russian family, I'm going to say I forced my modern history class to watch it. And we watched the first 45 minutes and nobody liked it. Everyone rolled their eyes and another musical number came on, and it really made me upset because it was so important to me, this movie. It's so good and no one sees it. So I think I came home and I watched it and I felt better after that, with no judgment. But truly a really great movie. It's such a good movie. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, please do yourself a favor and watch it. Anyway, number 1, which is probably not the biggest surprise at all, is High School Musical. To say I was obsessed with the High School Musical franchise is an understatement. The photo I showed on my Instagram, I'm bringing it up. I have the power to do that. That was taken in Paris in 2007. I bought the shirt. I'm fairly sure the shorts are an ensemble that go with it, because there is no way I would ever buy red shorts because my hair was more red at the time. I had a High School Musical Uno deck of cards, which I still have because you're an idiot if you ever throw out Uno cards. And then when High School Musical 2 came out, I sang the song at a performance night, sang All for One with Becky again. Becky understands, she knows this. And High School Musical 3, saw it at the cinemas. Troy and Gabriella, they were just the original couple goals. They were the best. And if you're lying to yourself, if Troy Bolton, Zac Efron was not your first celebrity crush, he was 100% my first celebrity crush, because Troy Bolton was so dreamy. And then when I watch the movie now, I'm like, wow, good without a doubt. I think that movie and that whole franchise itself just had such a big impact on me as a kid, and even in like my preteen self especially. Like, yeah, there's no denying that. That was a phase of my life, and I'm not ashamed by it, because it was a big part of me and a big part of, I guess, I don't know, I just love musicals and love those type of movies, and I still do. So I feel like that was a big influence on why those movies are so important to me and why I can never get enough of them. Anyway, that is my list. Hopefully it wasn't as crazy or, you know, predictable, and hopefully there were some movies on there that you haven't actually seen and that now you will actually go watch them, because my judgment and my opinion is so important. I'm just kidding, but really, like, I highly recommend all these movies if you have not seen them. All the formalities stuff. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, just leave. If you want to give any feedback or any suggestions of top 10 things I should talk about, you know, get those fingers typing and leave a comment. I will always respond to comments, because no one really leaves any, so I always have the time for them. And if you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. If you don't, I do not blame you. But yeah, thanks again for coming and seeing this and being here and watching me be a bit of an idiot and talk about things that 8-year-old me, 6-year-old me loves. But yeah, until next time, it's been real.